This is the way. This is the way.
This episode gave us an amazing espionage thriller set back on Coruscant, so let's talk about episode 7 of Bad Batch Season 2 titled The Clone Conspiracy. Before we get into it, if you're a fan of our videos, please like our content and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out and gives us the opportunity to create more content for you. Alright, let's get into it. I love that we get to go back to Coruscant, and as an audience we get to see the subtle changes the galactic capital is under during the Imperial rule. As Venator-class Star Destroyers are always looming in the background and the buildings appear darker, as if it shows the darkness starting to take over the galaxy. We focus on two clones in a bar, Slip and Cade wants to bring to light the Admiral Rampart ordered the destruction of Kamino, rather than what's being reported as a storm that wiped out Topeka City. And of course we find that Cade gets shot by an unknown assassin and Slip goes on the run. Then we get to see the Senate deliberate on the proposed bill we heard about in episode 3, with Admiral Rampart pushing for the chamber to pass it. We get some familiar faces. We get Senator Tenra Pomlo, who appeared in Rogue One on Yavin 4. She's a senator from the planet Taurus. We also get to see Senator Bail Organa from Alderaan, once again voiced by Phil Lamar. And finally we get a returning character from Clone Wars, Senator Ryo Chuchi, who is a Pantoran who first appeared in Season 1 of Clone Wars in Episode 15 titled Trespass. Speaking of Pantorans, George Lucas actually cameoed as a Pantoran in Revenge of the Sith, where he played Baron Papanoida. Senator Chuchi argues that they should have put a pension plan in place to transition the clones out of service before a bill can be drafted to recruit conscripted soldiers. And we see the Pantoran senator later talking to clones and gaining their favor, which shows what an honest and decent politician she is. And then of course she runs into Slip, who informs her of what actually happened on Kamino. After her encounter with Slip is my favorite part of this episode, with Admiral Rampart and Senator Chuchi discussing what can be done for the clones, and the tension that we get to see that's built up between the two characters who actually know more than they're letting on is palpable. After Chuchi leaves, we see that Rampart is the one who is utilizing the assassin, which makes me wonder if the clones that have gone AWOL were actually killed by Rampart. Time will tell. Chuchi then meets up with Senator Organa in secret and discusses how to get evidence of what happened to Kamino to the Senate. Chuchi then tracks down Slip, but the assassin gets the drop on them, and after a chase, Rex comes in to save the day. And of course Rex was there to get Slip off Coruscant. They take the assassin captive and learn that he's actually a clone, and at first I thought for sure that this was going to be Boba Fett, but he ends up being an ultra-loyal clone who ends up taking his own life because he's a quote-unquote believer. This makes me think that Rampart is possibly altering some of the clones' chips. Maybe these clones will end up being the Death Troopers we see later on. All in all, I really enjoyed this episode, and seeing more of the inner workings of the early Empire and how the Senate is still functioning to some extent is pretty awesome. It had action, it had intrigue, it brought in a lot of good characters, brought in some of the best elements from Clone Wars, and even gave us more layers to the clones and how they are processing all that is happening following orders under the Empire. So for my score, it's a clear 9 out of 10 for me. So thanks for joining me today on Fatherly Fandom, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And from our families to yours, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.